Hey everyone, Matt here, and today we're going to be talking about why you should be doing pull-ups and why it's good to incorporate them in your workouts. Then we'll be talking about which pull-up bar is best for your situation, and finally how to perform pull-ups as safely as possible. Stay tuned.
I just wanna be happy tonight.
So why should we use pull-ups in our workouts? Well, pull-ups is a method of functional training. And to be functional means you can perform daily tasks such as sitting, standing, walking, running, etc. with minimum injury and with far less fatigue. Why is this good? Well, because as we get older, we actually rely on how functional we are more and more, because you see people who get older, they start struggling to move so much. And if you do functional training, you're actually prolonging how long you can remain fit and healthy. Also, should you get put in a difficult situation which requires action, such as running or climbing or fighting back, functional training gives you that boost, that extra fitness that you need to get out of that really tough situation. Secondly, pull-up bars take up minimal space at home. So any home really can have a pull-up bar as long as you have a door frame, which most pull-up bars use, then you wouldn't have a problem working out. Problem is as well is the fact that the gyms are closed due to the pandemic. And weights, if you look on the internet, are very expensive. And most things you can do just with calisthenics, bodyweight exercises, and a pull-up bar is probably the best bit of equipment. Pull-ups are a multi-joint exercise. So what that means is it's working multiple muscles at once. So for example, if you're doing a regular pull-up, you're working your upper back, you're working some of your shoulders, and you're working some of your biceps. And how this compares to using weights is when you use weights, you only work out singular joints. So this could be a fantastic time saver if you haven't got a lot of time to work out. Pairing muscles together doesn't do any harm, and as I mentioned before, it also helps with your functional training. To have multiple muscles strong gives you a much better chance of remaining fit and lowering the risk of injury when you perform activities. And finally, we have to address the elephant in the room, and which is probably why you clicked on this video. Pull-ups will get you shredded. So not only will it give you a good core, because whenever you do pull-ups, it will give you a six-pack. It will also give you a very good upper body, and as well that desirable V shape in the back that people tend to find attractive. So hopefully now I have convinced you why you should buy a pull-up bar, but which pull-up bar should you buy? To answer this, I picked 3 different types of pull-up bars. All of them have their own merits, so I'll be doing this in a pros versus cons method instead of a rating. I'd rather not rate this due to the fact that each is better depending on your situation. So the 3 pull-up bars in question is your typical bracket pull-up bar, which goes on the door frame, which requires screws. The second type of pull-up bar is the one that also goes on the door frame, but the difference is there is no screws. You just screw it on to the door frame using 2 rubber sides. And finally, the third type of pull-up bar is the one you hook onto the top of your door frame, and then the bar goes out towards the front. This helps keep it in place. So now let's jump in to which pull-up bar is best for you. So for the first pull-up bar, the pros are it is the most stable pull-up bar on the market. Anything that requires screws and brackets tends to be very stable. As long as you tighten the pull-up bar enough between the brackets, it should never fall off. Secondly, it is very easy to take the bar on and off the brackets. All it requires is you screw to get it on, then you screw to get it off. And also this could be great for your forearms. It's a bar that will give you confidence to do other activities, for example, hanging rings, or using it for face pulls with resistance bands. It's very easy to know when the bar is in position and ready to be used. The cons are the bar is not very portable unless you take the bar someplace that has the brackets installed. So you couldn't really take this pull-up bar on vacation either. since you have to unscrew the brackets, screw the brackets in your hotel, and I don't think many hotels would approve of such things, so you have to leave the bar at home. So you need to know exactly how high you want the pull-up bar to be, because it will be a real pain once you set it to a certain height and you realize that it is the wrong height for you. You want it maybe a little bit higher or a little bit lower. This means you have to unscrew, which already leaves the screw marks in the door frame that shows damage, and then you have to set it to the new height, and you have to make sure you get all the alignment correct, because if you misalign the bar, suddenly you're diagonal, which is not good. Next, it can only be used on screw safe materials such as wood or perhaps steel that has the holes for screws. So you couldn't screw this into many surfaces, but I suppose that's not too much of an issue if you're doing it in a door frame, as most of these seem to be made out of wood. And finally, you can't really do this in a rented property, especially without the landlord's permission, as this can cause damage to the property. And if you do this without any kind of permission, you could end up footing the bill for any kind of repairs. Next, pull-up bar number 2. The pros are, 1, there is minimal assembly required. There is no brackets to screw in. There is no putting it together. The only thing you have to do is add clamps to the pull-up bar, and then you screw it into the Allen key, and this will stop you from twisting mid-workout. Secondly, it is by far the easiest pull-up bar to take with you. It is very small. You can easily take it with you on your travels by car. Obviously, if you're going to take it on a flight, you want to make sure you put it in your hold luggage. Don't try and take it on the plane with you, because it looks like a blunt object and that will not be taken. Next, there are no screws and brackets required, which again means that you can use this on a rented property, since it won't really leave any damage unless the material isn't strong enough, but we'll get onto that in the cons. Finally, it gives you a very good forearm workout when you put it onto the bar. As you put it onto the bar, you're twisting it, and you're actually really working these forearms by here, and it will get you pretty big forearms if you do this enough times. Now we're going to move on to the cons. It isn't the most secure bar on the market. I didn't feel very safe when I used it. I forgot to mention before we started this process, I'm using my own experiences, as I've owned all 3 of these pull-up bars. So this has all come from my experience. This is not coming from some article on the internet. So but personally, when I used it, I didn't feel particularly confident. I would only really do it for pull-ups or chin-ups. I wouldn't necessarily use it for other purposes like hanging rings from or pulling with resistance bands, because I wouldn't be confident that it would stay on. And I'm sure it is secure, but that's just me personally. When I was on there, I could hear it creaking and falling, and yeah, I didn't feel very safe. Next, it needs to be held on by 2 very strong surfaces. So you can't put it between hollow walls, because you put a hole in your wall. You can't really put it on weak wood like plywood, because it can start causing cracks, which is what happened to me, and which is why I started using a different pull-up bar. Ideally, according to the website, which I didn't really read beforehand, it needs to be strong wood between brick or something like steel. Don't use it on any weak surfaces, because as you pull down, you're putting pressure downwards on the bar, and how the bar handles that is it pushes that pressure out to the side, which means the harder you pull down, the more pressure is being put either side, and that is when breaks can happen if you're using it on a weaker surface. Finally, it can leave marks of damage onto the property, which again, if you're renting property or even if you own your own property, if you end up breaking your door frame or you're putting a hole in your wall, it's going to cost money to repair it. So as I mentioned before, if you haven't got strong enough surfaces, this isn't the pull-up bar for you. Finally, pull-up bar number 3. The pros are that it's extremely easy to secure, because all you got to do is put it up over the door frame, make sure that's in place, and the pull-up bar is ready to be used. Secondly, it's versatile, which means not only is a pull-up bar, you can use it for other things like sit-ups, and you can use it as a prop for push-ups as well. Thirdly, there are multiple handles, so you can do different pull-up variations. So you can use the typical standard bar, which you can use for pull-ups and chin-ups, and then you can also use the handles on the sides for a different type of pull-up. I'm going to put this in there. It is the cheapest pull-up bar on the market. The others cost around the $40 mark, US dollars that is, and this bar costs $30 US dollars. Finally, it is less likely to leave any damage to the property since, you know, you're not screwing anything into the door. Also, you're not putting pressure on the sides which could break it. This is literally going up onto the frame, so it's very unlikely to break anything within your property. Moving on to the cons, it is big and bulky to travel with. So if you're moving somewhere permanently and you require a flight, you're not really going to take this with you. You're probably better off just buying a new one when you reach your destination. If you're traveling by car, however, it's perfectly fine. But if you are going to travel and you are going to bring just one bag with you, this is going to be big and bulky, and it's going to be a nightmare to try and take with you. Secondly, the assembly is a nightmare. It took me around 20 minutes to assemble the bar. There's a lot of little pieces. I'm not a DIY guy. I'm sure a lot of you watching aren't DIY guys, and you know what it's like to read instructions and try and screw stuff in. It was a complete nightmare. Finally, I would not use any other type of equipment on it that requires pulling it away. I learned this the hard way. I was trying to do face pulls of it, and what happened was it tilted the bar forwards, which caused the back bit to come loose, fell down and slingshotted into my toe, and it wasn't a very pleasant experience. So these are the pros and cons, guys. As I said before, each of them, each pro and each con may or may not matter to you depending on your situation. If I had to give a verdict, I would say if you live on private property, I would buy the bar. I would buy the first bar, sorry, which is the ones with brackets. That's probably the best bet. But if you're living in a rented property, I would recommend the third bar, since it's very easy to put on and off and it's very unlikely to cause any kind of damage. So finally, for the last bit of the video, we're going to talk about how to ensure that the Pullup bar is safe and to ensure safety when you're using it. Well, firstly, always read what the bar is designed to do. Sometimes the Pullup bar you buy will give you additional workouts you can do with it. And some will just say, hey, you know, only do pull-ups, don't do anything crazy. Secondly, before you use the Pullup bar, even if you haven't taken it down, always hang from it a couple of times. Swing a little bit, hang from it. Ensure that it won't come loose. And obviously make sure your feet is pointed to the ground. Because should the Pullup bar collapse, you can land on your feet and there won't be any harm done to you. Finally, I'm going to stress this, even though people will do this. Please, please, please don't do inversions on a home pull-up bar, because if you didn't secure the bar properly and you're upside down and suddenly it collapses, you have fallen on your head and you've probably broken your neck. So I will say it again. Please don't do inversions on a home pull-up bar. Thank you very much for watching, guys. That's all I got for you today. Hopefully this has helped sway your decision in buying a pull-up bar and helps you choose which pull-up bar you should be buying. If you want to check out my free yoga streams, that'll be on Monday, Friday from 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you want to check out my discussions, I discuss a lot of things on Twitch. That'll be Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 p.m. PST. All the links will be in the description below. You want to discuss with me about anything? I am a trainer and I am a yoga instructor. Please join my Discord and let me know and we can discuss certain things. Also, if you join my Discord, the first 50 of you will receive a founder status. Also, check out all my links down below and subscribe to the channel. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. And until next time, guys, have a great day and see you in my next video.